All right, so we're talking garden labor interviews today.
Trying to get people ready for those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going into a job interview, especially in a field like this where you might be dealing with, plants and soil and weather,
Right.
there's a lot to kind of get your head around. So
He's a different kind of interview for sure.
it is, and we want to make sure that people feel prepared and like they can really shine in those interviews.
Exactly. Give him that confidence.
So we've got some really great resources from RoleCatcher.
Yeah, a lot of good information.
Yeah, we've got their career guides, we've got interview guides, and even some insights into how their AI can really help you kind of tailor your answers and get some feedback.
Their AI is fantastic for this kind of thing.
It really is. So let's kind of dive into this and start with a really basic question.
Okay.
What does a garden laborer actually do?
Yeah, what does this job actually look like?
Right, because it's more than just loving plants, right?
Oh, definitely.
You're out there, you're working.
Yeah, it's physical.
It's physical.
It's outdoors.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the elements. You're planting, you're pruning, you're weeding, you're hauling soil.
Oh, yeah.
You might be operating equipment.
That's a good point.
And the RoleCatcher Career Guide actually emphasizes the importance of, physical stamina and being comfortable working outdoors in all kinds of weather.
So this is not a desk job.
No, not even.
This is you got to be ready to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, and love it.
Absolutely. So someone who enjoys being active and who isn't afraid of a little, dirt under their fingernails,
Exactly right.
that's probably a good fit.
Definitely. And that's actually something you can really emphasize in the interview.
That's a good point.
Show them that you are ready to get out there and work hard.
Right. So let's get into some of these interview questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Because RoleCatcher's interview guide has some fantastic examples of what you might encounter.
It's really helpful.
Yeah. So let's start with a pretty basic one. For someone who's maybe just starting out.
Right, entry level.
Can you describe your previous experience working in a garden?
Okay, so this one, a lot of people might think, oh, I don't have any formal experience.
Right.
But you can tailor your answer to this even without having a formal job title.
Yeah. What kind of things would you recommend highlighting?
Well, think about it. Did you help your parents with their garden growing up?
I did, actually.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, we had a big vegetable garden.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Did you volunteer at a community garden?
I didn't, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah, it's a great way to get experience.
Yeah.
Even just tending to your own houseplants.
Right.
That shows a genuine interest and some basic knowledge.
That's a good point. So it's about connecting any relevant experience you have to those skills that are needed for this job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show them how your passion for plants translates into real-world skills.
I love that. Okay, so let's say you're in the interview and they ask you,
Okay.
have you ever used power tools or heavy machinery in a garden setting?
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, because this can be a little intimidating for some people.
Why? Especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah, so what's the best way to handle that?
I think honesty is key here. If you have experience, describe it briefly, highlight any relevant safety training.
Right, show them you know what you're doing.
Exactly. But if you don't have experience, don't worry.
Yeah.
Emphasize your willingness to learn.
Okay.
You can say something like, while my experience with heavy machinery is limited, I'm a fast learner and eager to receive proper training.
I like that.
I'm comfortable using basic power tools, and I always prioritize safety when operating any equipment.
That shows initiative.
It
And it
does.
shows that you're proactive, which employers love.
Absolutely. They want to see that you're willing to take on new challenges.
Okay, so speaking of initiative,
Okay.
how would you advise someone to answer a question like, how do you prioritize your tasks when working in a garden?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because this is all about, time management and efficiency.
Right. You've got a lot to do in a day.
Right.
So you need to be organized.
Absolutely.
So I think for this one, think of a specific example.
Okay. A real life example.
Yeah, maybe from a previous job, a volunteer experience,
Yeah?
even a personal project where you had multiple tasks to juggle.
Okay, so something where you had to really think about what needs to happen first.
Exactly. And then walk them through your decision-making process.
I like that.
Explain how you determined which tasks were most urgent,
Right.
what factors you considered,
Okay.
and what strategies you used to stay organized and meet deadlines.
Right. So it's not just about saying I'm organized. It's about showing them how you're organized.
Is give them concrete examples.
Yeah, like maybe you created a to-do list.
Yeah.
Or you broke down a large task into smaller steps.
Perfect.
Or you use a calendar to schedule your work.
Exactly. All of those things show that you have a structured approach to work.
Which is so valuable in any role, but
Yeah.
especially, I think, in a fast-paced environment like gardening.
Absolutely. You've got to be able to manage your time effectively.
Right. And this is actually where I think RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy
Oh, tell me more about this.
because their platform can actually analyze specific job descriptions
Oh, wow.
and highlight the skills that are most important for that particular role.
So it's like having a customized guide
It
for
is.
each job you apply for.
It is so you can tailor your answers to emphasize those skills.
That's incredible.
It's really helpful.
It takes out the guesswork
It does.
of what the employer's really looking for.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about prioritizing tasks. But let's be real.
Okay.
Gardening often involves working as part of a team.
It's a collaborative field.
It is. So how would you suggest someone answer a question like, how do you communicate with other members of a gardening team?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think a lot of people struggle with these teamwork questions.
Yeah, it can be hard to articulate,
It can.
especially if you haven't had a lot of experience
Right.
working on teams.
Yeah, and employers really want to see that you can communicate effectively
Right.
and that you can work well with others.
So what kind of things should people be thinking about when they're preparing for a question like this?
So think of a time when you had to collaborate with others,
Okay.
whether it was on a work project,
Mm,
a volunteer activity, even a group assignment in school.
so anything where you had to work with other people to accomplish something?
Exactly. And think about what was the situation?
Okay.
What was your role in the team?
Okay.
What specific actions did you take to communicate effectively?
So like, what did you actually do?
Yeah. Did you send emails? Did you have meetings? Did you make phone calls?
Right.
And then what was the outcome?
So what was the result of all those efforts?
Right. Did you achieve your goal as a team?
Right. So it's kind of like you're telling a story,
It is. It's storytelling.
but you're highlighting those communication skills
Exactly.
that the employer is looking for.
You're showing them how you communicate in action.
I love that. And this reminds me of something I learned a while back. It's called the STAR method.
Oh, yeah, the STAR method.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah. So it stands for situation,
Mm-hmm.
task, action,
Right.
and result.
And that's basically what we're doing here, right?
It's a great way to structure your response
To tell that compelling story.
and make sure you're hitting all those key points.
Exactly. And to give you an example, you could say something like,
Okay. Let's hear it.
in my previous role, we were tasked with redesigning a public garden.
Okay. Big project.
Yeah, to ensure everyone was on the same page, I initiated weekly team meetings to discuss progress, share ideas, and address any challenges.
Okay. So you're taking initiative there.
Yeah, showing leadership.
Yeah.
This open communication fostered a collaborative environment and ultimately led to the successful completion of the project ahead of schedule.
Wow. That's a great example.
It highlights your communication skills,
Yeah.
your teamwork skills,
Right.
and the positive outcome.
Absolutely. And I love how you even snuck in there that you finished ahead of schedule.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, gotta highlight those achievements.
That's impressive.
And you know what else is impressive?
What's that?
RoleCatcher's AI can actually provide feedback on your practice answers.
Really?
Yeah, so you can practice these answers,
No.
get feedback from the AI,
That's amazing.
and really refine your delivery and content to make an even stronger impression.
That's fantastic. So we've covered some key questions related to experience, skills, teamwork.
Yeah, we've hit a lot of the basics.
But there's one more aspect I want to touch on before we move on,
Okay, what's that?
and that is challenges. Because let's face it,
Gardening is not always easy,
it's not. You're dealing with living things.
right? Unpredictable weather, sometimes demanding clients,
So employers want to know that you can handle those difficult situations.
and find solutions.
Exactly. So what kind of question should someone be prepared for in this area?
Well, a common one is, how do you handle difficult or challenging tasks in a garden? Or they might ask you to describe a time you faced a setback in the garden and how you overcame it.
Those are really good questions.
Yeah, they really get you thinking about those problem-solving skills.
Right. But how do you actually answer them?
That's the key part, right?
Yeah. What do you say?
Well, we'll get into that after the break. So how to answer those tricky questions about challenges.
Yeah, because everyone's going to face them at some point, right?
Oh, absolutely. In gardening, you're almost guaranteed to run into some problems.
All right, exactly.
Mhm.
So how do you show the interviewer that you can handle those curveballs?
The key is to use that STAR method we talked about earlier.
Ah, okay. So
Yeah.
situation, task, action, result.
Exactly. It's a great framework for answering these kinds of questions.
All right, so walk me through it. How would we apply that to like a garden challenge?
Okay, so first, think of a specific time you faced a problem in a garden setting,
Okay, something concrete.
right? Maybe you were dealing with a pest infestation or plant disease.
Oh, yeah, those are tough.
They can be, or even a design challenge. Maybe you had to work with a difficult space.
Okay, so you're setting the scene for the interviewer
Right, you're giving them the context.
and clearly explaining the obstacle you had to overcome.
Exactly, and then you move on to the task.
Okay, so what needed to be done?
Right, what was your goal in that situation?
Got it.
And then you describe the actions you took.
So what did you actually do to solve the problem?
Right, did you research different solutions? Did you consult with someone more experienced?
So showing that you're resourceful.
Exactly, and that you take initiative.
And then finally the result.
Right, what happened?
Did your plan work?
Exactly, and even if you didn't completely solve the problem,
Okay.
you can still highlight what you learned from the experience.
So turning that setback into a learning opportunity.
Precisely. It shows that you're adaptable and you're always looking for ways to improve.
I love that. Okay, so can you give me an example of how this might sound in an actual interview?
Sure, so let's say the interviewer asks, can you describe a time you faced a setback in the garden and how you overcame it?
Okay, a classic challenge question.
Right. You could say something like, last summer I was working on a landscaping project and discovered a large patch of powdery mildew on a client's rose bushes.
Oh no, powdery mildew, that's a nightmare.
It can be, but you've got this.
Okay, go on.
I immediately researched different treatment options and consulted with my supervisor.
So showing that you're not afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. Teamwork is essential in gardening.
Right.
We decided to try a combination of pruning the affected areas and applying an organic fungicide.
Okay, a two-pronged approach.
And then you wrap it up with the result. While it took some time, the treatment was ultimately successful and the roses recovered beautifully.
Yeah, happy ending for the roses.
And for you, because you learned something valuable,
Right.
you could add, I learned a lot about identifying and managing plant diseases, which has been valuable in my subsequent gardening work.
That's a fantastic example. It is all those key points.
It does. It shows your problem-solving skills, your willingness to seek help, and your commitment to continuous learning.
Those are all qualities that employers are looking for.
Absolutely. They want to see that you can handle the inevitable challenges that come with the job.
Okay, so we've talked about experience skills, teamwork challenges.
Hitting all the bases.
We've hit a lot of the important stuff, but there's one more crucial aspect of being a garden laborer,
All right. What's that?
and that is plant knowledge.
Ah, yes. The heart of gardening.
It is, you can't be a successful garden laborer if you don't know your plants.
Definitely not. Employers want to see that you have a genuine understanding of plants and their care requirements.
So when you're going into that interview,
Brush up on your plant knowledge.
absolutely, and be prepared to answer questions like,
Let's hear them.
what types of plants are you most familiar with?
Ah, the classic plant knowledge question.
It is. So how do you make your answer stand out?
Well, instead of giving a generic answer like, I know a lot about flowers.
Right, because everyone says that.
Exactly. Be specific. Name some plant varieties you've worked with and briefly describe their care needs.
Okay, so show them you've got the knowledge.
Right, and the experience to back it up.
Give me an example.
Okay, so you could say, I'm particularly familiar with roses, and I understand the importance of proper pruning, fertilizing, and pest control to ensure they thrive.
Okay, a rose expert.
I've also had experience with growing tomatoes, which taught me a lot about soil preparation, watering techniques, and providing adequate sunlight.
So you're showcasing a range of knowledge.
Exactly, and you're highlighting different aspects of plant care.
I like it. And what if you have some specialized knowledge?
Oh, even better.
Yeah, like maybe you're passionate about native plants, or you have experience with organic gardening techniques.
Definitely mention that.
It could set you apart from other candidates.
Yeah, absolutely. Employers love to see that you have a niche or a special interest.
Right. It shows that you're really passionate about this field.
And that you're committed to learning and growing.
Okay, so we've talked about plant knowledge, but there's another aspect of gardening that's becoming increasingly important.
What's that?
Sustainability.
Ah, yes, the green side of gardening.
It is. Employers are really looking for candidates who are environmentally conscious.
And who understand the importance of sustainable practices.
Absolutely. So what kind of questions should people be prepared for in this area?
Well, they might ask about your experience with composting,
Okay.
organic fertilizers, or water conservation techniques.
So all those eco-friendly practices?
Exactly. They want to know that you're thinking about the environment.
Right, and that you're committed to doing your part.
Absolutely. So, for example, they might ask,
Hit me with it.
have you ever worked with compost or other organic fertilizers? If so, can you describe your experience?
Oh, that's a good one.
It gives you a chance to showcase your eco-conscious approach to gardening.
And even if you don't have a ton of experience.
You can still show them that you understand the importance of these practices.
And that you're eager to learn more.
Right. You could say something like, while I'm still learning about organic gardening techniques, I understand the importance of using compost and other natural fertilizers to improve soil health, reduce waste, and minimize environmental impact.
That's great. It shows that you're committed to sustainability, even if you're still developing your skill.
Exactly. And you can add, I'm eager to expand my knowledge in this area and incorporate sustainable practices into my work.
Perfect. So you're showing them that you're proactive and you're always looking for ways to be more eco-friendly.
And you know what else can help you highlight your sustainability credentials?
RoleCatcher's AI.
You got it. Their platform can analyze job descriptions and identify keywords related to sustainability.
So it's like a cheat sheet for tailoring your answers.
It is. It helps you speak the employer's language and show them that you're a good fit for their values.
That's brilliant. Okay, so we've covered experience goals, teamwork challenges, plant knowledge sustainability.
Quite a list.
It is a lot,
Yeah.
but there's one more crucial aspect of being a garden laborer that we need to address.
Okay, what's that?
Safety.
Ah, yes, a critical topic.
It is, because gardening can be a physically demanding job.
You're working with tools, equipment, sometimes hazardous materials,
So employers want to know that you take safety seriously.
that you're aware of the risks, and that you're committed to following safety protocols.
Exactly. So what kind of questions should people be prepared for in this area?
You might get asked something like, how do you ensure the safety of yourself and others when working in a garden?
Okay, that's pretty straightforward.
Or they might phrase it as, what steps do you take to prevent accidents and injuries on the job?
So those are great questions to really test your safety awareness.
They are, and your ability to think proactively about potential hazards.
But how do you actually answer them?
That's $1 million question, right?
It is. We've got to give people some practical advice.
All right, well, let's break it down after a quick message. So when you're tackling those safety questions, the key is to be specific.
Okay, so no vague answers like, I'm a safe person.
Right, exactly. You've got to give them concrete examples of how you prioritize safety.
So like, what kind of things could you talk about?
Well, you could mention your knowledge of proper lifting techniques.
Oh yeah, to avoid back injuries.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a big one in gardening.
Right, lots of heavy lifting.
Or you could talk about your habit of wearing gloves and eye protection when handling chemicals.
Okay, so showing that you're already thinking about those potential hazards.
Right, and that you're taking steps to protect yourself and others.
So you're basically demonstrating that you're already operating like a safety-conscious professional.
Exactly. You want to give them the impression that you're already thinking the way they want you to think.
I love that. So give me an example of what a strong answer might sound like.
Okay, so let's say the interviewer asks, what steps do you take to prevent accidents and injuries on the job?
Aye, a pretty common safety question.
Right. You could respond with something like, I always inspect tools and equipment before use to make sure they're in good working order.
Okay, that's a good start.
I also make sure to wear appropriate safety gear, such as gloves, eye protection, and sturdy footwear.
All right, so you're covering all the bases.
And I'm always mindful of my surroundings and take care to avoid potential hazards like uneven terrain or overhanging branches.
Wow, that's a really comprehensive answer.
It is. It shows that you're thinking about safety from multiple angles.
And it demonstrates that you're proactive about preventing accidents.
Exactly. You're not just reacting to situations, you're anticipating them.
I like it. And this reminds me that we haven't talked about RoleCatcher's AI in a while.
Oh, yeah, it can definitely help with these safety questions, too.
How so?
Well, their platform can analyze those job descriptions and identify specific safety requirements for the role.
Oh, that's smart.
So you can tailor your answers to highlight those specific protocols.
So you're basically speaking the employer's language.
Exactly. You're showing them that you understand their safety priorities.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have from understanding what a garden laborer does
To mastering those tricky interview questions.
and even exploring those career advancement opportunities.
Because there is room for growth in this field.
Absolutely.
And RoleCatcher has some great resources to help you map out that career path.
Their Career Compass tool is fantastic for that.
So with all of this information, and with the help of RoleCatcher, you're ready to rock that interview.
Go out there, showcase your skills, let your passion shine through.
And good luck. We're rooting for you.